You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're back with a week in a flash.
Come on, talk to be nice, Michael.
Dude, it's what? That was great.
Yeah, man, talk to be nice.
Talk to be nice.
Maybe it's nicely would be the correct
nicely
grammar, right?
would be. I don't know.
I mean, you're the teacher.
I'm the teacher, I guess. So welcome back to our week in a flash. We're super excited to be back in the studio recording for you guys after our long sabbatical. Things happen, man.
Things happen. Michael got a new job.
Michael got a new job. That's very true.
That's not going pretty good.
It's going pretty good. It's skibbity. All right, so
the job is skibbity.
Is skibbity. Oh my gosh. All right, so we are excited though to be back into the studio, getting into these news of Marvel, Star Wars, and more with DC. And what else do we do? Dune, Harry Potter. It's been a while.
Dune, Harry Potter.
And
occasionally, one time we talked about our favorite colors.
We did. That was a great episode.
That ranking went pretty hard,
Dude, that was a great episode. That was so good. It got heated.
You're green number one, right?
Green number one, baby.
Yeah.
Always.
I remember that.
Always green number one. All right, so we are back, and we're more than glad to do so. So let's get right into our news that we've got, starting with DC, because DC is taking the world by storm currently, I have to say.
Yeah.
From the success of the Penguin show, which was absolutely amazing,
banger.
as we all know. Absolutely amazing. We apologize we didn't fully get to review it for you guys.
We haven't even finished watching it, if we're being honest.
If we're being super duper honest, busy lives, and it's not because we did not like the show. We've watched the first 5 episodes.
I love it. Yeah,
I love it. I think it's phenomenal.
5, yeah.
It's just craziness. But DC is just on such a high, and then with the rise of Creature Commandos, the first of the DCU of James Gunn, and I have to give props to DC right now because nobody's doing it like them currently. Yeah. They restarted, and they completely are restarting and doing the new things that they're doing. And they're doing it seemingly correctly.
It's working well, man.
It's working well so
That's
far.
off to them. Like I said, they smell blood in the water right now with Marvel. So why not strike now?
Well, exactly. And with Creature Commandos also being very, very brilliantly done. I mean, the only problem I have with DCU is it's not completely a reboot. It's only a reboot of everything that James Gunn hasn't touched. So like the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker Season 1, all of that good stuff is still canon, but everything else isn't.
Yeah.
And he literally said like the only part of Peacemaker Season 1 that wasn't canon was the part with the end scene with the Justice League, which I still find
that's
really
wild.
Religious. Not religious. What I say religious.
It's really religious. We go to church and we talk about this.
It's really weird to me, I should say. But oh well, it's working so far, and so far so good. It feels more like a comic book coming to life, which I do like with what he's planning on doing with DC, with Creature Commandos, and then Superman coming in the summer with the trailer being amazing. Go listen to our trailer breakdown of Superman. Go listen to it. That's all I got to say. It came out last Tuesday, so give it a check it out. Gosh, I'm rusty.
I know. Well, that's what happens, man.
That's what happens.
Like when you sit on the bench for so long, get put in the game.
That's true.
We got to be ready to. We got to be
ready. That's exactly it. But anyway, so we're excited for Superman, and then of course some other great news when it comes to the DCU is the new casting of Jason Momoa's return as Lobo for the next DCU movie, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
That is awesome.
It's awesome.
That is awesome. Confirmed today.
Yeah. Said, welcome to the DCU from James Gunn himself, Jason Momoa. And Lobo, he's perfect as Lobo. I mean, everybody sees that.
Everyone fan casted it for a while.
And
I think it gives a lot of hope. Well, they already have enough hope, but more hope to these DC fans, because they're making these fan castings and they're seeing that Gunn and these other people, they're listening. Yeah. They're paying attention to the fans. So
that's huge. And I've never seen quite a creator like this be such interactive with the fans.
I know, bro.
Because like if someone makes a comment on Twitter and he sees it, he comments about it.
Like,
and
no,
he's like,
that's not true.
No, that's not true. Or maybe so.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that's super, super cool. And he's like, oh, you just wait a little while and you will find out soon enough. Yeah. I think that's just super, super, super awesome that he's doing that and he's willing to take the time out of his day to confirm or deny, news versus rumors, which I think is really cool. And Jason Momoa being one, he says he's a huge fan of Lobo. He's been collecting Lobo comics since he was younger. I just think that's awesome and giving him another chance. And listen, I loved Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He wasn't necessarily Aquaman, but I liked him as that character. But I'm excited for him to get this new chance as Lobo and to be back in the DCU in this capacity, which he's gonna kill it in Supergirl.
Yeah, and I hope they really kind of push his acting chops.
I do too.
I feel like most of his roles he's done recently, they haven't quite done so.
Yeah.
And I like to see a little more from him.
Which we know he can. Yeah. I mean, look at Game of Thrones, look at Dune even. Yeah. I mean, both of
Dune was a really good portrayal.
Dune, he didn't play himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible.
Duncan Idaho?
Duncan Idaho.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Legend. He's so
he was
cool.
My favorite character,
he was so
man.
cool in
favorite
that movie.
Character. So great. But I'm excited for this. And a lot of the reports is Jason Momoa in real life pretty much acts a lot like Lobo the character. Just maybe adds a little bit of that villainy anti-hero villain flair. But hopefully not. We hope. But yeah, I think it's an awesome casting, and I'm excited. Everything I've been hearing about the Supergirl One of Tomorrow film is going to be absolutely out of this world. It's apparently a really, really good comic. I haven't read it, but apparently it's based off this really fantastic comic, and it's sounding like it's going to be an amazing sequel to Superman in the DCU, which is really cool. And speaking of other DCU projects, which is this one interests me a little bit, is that a Clayface movie has been confirmed for the DCU, and it's going to be in the DCU. What do you think?
A Clayface movie?
A Clayface movie.
Do we have any idea on the time when it's coming out?
It's coming out 2026. It's coming out in fall 2026 after Supergirl. So
we're getting a Clayface movie before Batman 2?
We're getting a Clayface. Well, Batman 2 is still Matt Reeves' universe.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so but the DCU-wise, we're getting Clayface before Brave and the Bold. Yes. It's an interesting creative choice. It's really interesting.
I mean, at the same time, this is also coming from the guy who decided that his first soft launch was Creature Commandos.
Very true.
So I have faith in the project.
This is the one thing I find interesting. We know that his first chapter of the DCU, James Gunn, is called Gods and Monsters, right?
Okay.
So talking about Superman being the gods, and then the monsters, Creature Commandos, etc. Okay. And James Gunn is masterful at taking unknown characters and making them brilliant
names
and have names.
Yeah.
And he's really, really good at that. The only creative difference I personally have with James Gunn, I'm sure you do as well, is the order that he's releasing things. Now, like Creature Commandos, for example, is great. It's been a phenomenal show. I think Clayface has the potential to be a very fantastic movie, and the guy who he has directing is apparently like a huge ultra fan of Clayface the character.
Okay,
so that he's actually bringing in fans.
Good,
which is great.
That's amazing. That's something we don't see too much.
Exactly. And apparently, this dude has had like a script written for Clayface for years and has been waiting to the opportunity. It's super exciting, but. Creatively, I would have had more of your mainstream characters introduced first and then build and branch off of them. But his basis of what he's doing in the DCU, he wants to be different than what Marvel originally did.
Yeah.
Because nobody can repeat what the MCU originally. Like the
of
MCU,
course,
nobody
it kickstarted everything.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can argue
genre.
against MCU now is nothing compared to what it was. And it used to be absolute peak. And now it's not. But DCU has the opportunity to do the same, but differently. And I understand that he's taking a different approach. He's making it more like the comics, having it be spread out and sprinkled across different, live action thoughts or animated thoughts. I don't know if the Clayface movie would be animated or live action. If I was them, I'd make it an animated movie. Okay. Personally, I just think it would be better in that capacity.
You think it would get a theater release if it's animated?
I don't know if they would go straight to Max or theater release. Probably a theater release. But
I'm seeing if it's animated, they would probably choose to put it on Max, and I would really hate that.
I know.
It would probably do better, and I think I don't think this is a hot take, but I do think that comic storylines and superhero storylines usually go better in animated as a medium.
They do in a lot of capacities.
Usually, and I'm thinking of X-Men 97 and Earth's Mightiest Heroes as a couple of examples. But I don't know. Personally, I would prefer a theater release, a live action. Yeah. Then again, a live action Clayface would be
difficult
tough and really expensive.
It would be expensive, and that also brings me, if they're releasing for 2026, is your CGI people going to have enough time to do it right?
I know,
and do it properly, because we don't want you to waste our time, with creating CGI massacre garbage that we've been witnessing lately, with them not taking their time. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it would be more better realized in animation. But Clayface also was just introduced in the latest episode of Creature Commandos in the DCU for the first time as well in animation. So I don't know what they're going to decide, how they're going to do it. So I guess that also means Clayface has been casted. I don't know who the official casting is, but whoever voiced him is going to be the one playing him in live action, I assume, because that's what James Gunn said.
It's Mark Hamill.
It's Mark Hamill's Clayface. That'd
Put
be
a
crazy.
twist on it again.
That would be twist. Back to the Arkhamverse. maybe not a bad idea.
Tasty.
But I don't know. It's one of those things. I think the character of Clayface is cool. Deserving his own movie, questionable.
Yeah. Very questionable. And like I said, I mean, if you're gonna put a movie like this, I mean, like put it out in theaters.
Right.
I know, like I feel like sometimes they second guess themselves and throw it on Max, and then it doesn't make a lot of money. They're like, oh well, why didn't you do better? Like you didn't give it a chance in theaters.
Right. You got to give it a chance.
I mean, I'll go see if it's animated, but I would prefer it to be live action and see it on a big screen.
Right. And I guess with like the whole idea is if they did it animated, they probably would have a lot more creative freedom and a lot more abilities. Like if it was anime, they have the full potential to make it R if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's live action, it's going to be harder to make a Clayface movie R. It's just, I don't know. We'll see what they do. And I know they're smart and what they're doing. It's just weird to me that out of all the movies in the DCU we're going to get, Clayface is going to be the third in it.
The timing is, it's odd, definitely. But I have a lot of hope for it because like I'm seeing it now. If they choose to make it live action, I mean, like I would guess the majority of the movie would be spent on the, on the character before he becomes, Clayface. With his life.
Creature Commandos, though, he's already Clayface, though.
I know, so but what if they decide to take it back? I really think they would do better with a prequel. Like we haven't seen.
We've never seen a Clayface origin story before,
and I really think like a drama would work really well.
I agree.
Like a heart, like something like when you walk in and you see it for the first like hour, you're like, this is not a superhero movie. That's what I'm thinking of. A story about a poor, struggling actor. Who's essentially,
So you're saying like
who's desperate,
a classic superhero drama,
a drama
origin story
that kind of near the end is where he becomes Clayface, and then like cut it there.
But have it be more, instead of being that traditional. So
you sympathize with the character. Yeah.
Instead of having it being that more traditional approach, make it darker because it's naturally someone who becomes a villain.
Exactly.
That's not bad.
Not like similar to what Todd Phillips did with the first Joker.
Yeah.
Establish your character and just how life is beating him down.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of his only way, even though we know it's bad. You still feel sorry for the character.
Okay.
I think that could play really well with Clayface too.
I mean, nothing against it or nothing about it. I think this movie has absolutely the biggest potential. I think it could be great. The only problem is the timing. Yeah. So we'll see how it runs out. I know he's got a great plan and it's going to be fulfilled and we're going to see it panned out. But that also has to go with the stakes of Superman. If Superman's not good, this whole thing's crumbled.
I have a hard time seeing that.
I do too.
Even if it was bad, it would make so much money.
It would,
just because of name recognition.
It would, But at the same time, if it is bad, like this superhero movie has probably the most writing on it than any other in history because of the fact that
that's their launch.
And if they ruin it, I mean, there's no going back. So I don't think it will. Like I said, I have full, complete faith in this movie. But if it does, we'll see.
Yeah. Biggest character, for their launch. Marvel launched at the time with like a B-list character, with a struggling actor who was just coming off some success. Now here you have James Gunn with, here's our biggest movie, our biggest character. Let's start it. So, woo! He's got some big kahunas.
He does. Especially characters loved as Superman.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does, and we'll see how it goes. Now, I have full faith, though. But speaking of negative DC news, let's talk Matt Reeves' The Batman. So, as we know, The Batman Part 2 gets moved again for a release date for 2027. It was originally slated for 2025 this coming year.
We were supposed to have already seen it, Michael.
No.
Yeah.
2025.
Oh, 25. For real?
We would have saw it this coming year.
Right? Okay.
Yes, we would have saw it this coming year in a couple months. And then it was moved to 2026. And then now, once again, it has been removed and put into 2027 release. It's very frustrating.
That's crazy.
It is. And I mean,
crazy.
Listen, I'm all for a movie taking its time. I'm all for creativity and, taking your time when it comes to characters and making it the perfect story that you want to be released. You want a story to be great before you release instead of rushing it. I completely agree with that. However, don't promise something you can't deliver. Yeah. That's a huge, huge, huge thing because if you're promising this movie is going to come out in 2025, then you better release it in 2025, or you shouldn't have announced a release date. That's my big thing. Is I'm all for taking your time for a movie, but don't make a release date yet.
Exactly.
Just don't announce anything.
That just gets our hopes up.
Exactly.
And crushes our hopes.
Exactly. And I've seen so many negative.
It turns them off to the future projects.
Exactly. And I've seen so many negative comments saying I don't even care if it gets released anymore. Who cares about this universe? And I mean, I'm not that far yet because I think the universe is amazing, what he's done with the Batman and the Penguin, but don't promise us something and then fail to deliver once again.
Yeah. It's regrettable. I was 21 when part 1 came out.
Yeah.
And I will be 27 when this one will come out.
That's crazy.
I'm not a boomer. Maybe I am a boomer. I'm 24 now, but you think back, man, we had 3 movies in 4 years. Oh, Lord of the Rings, maybe the best trilogy of all time. We had 3 movies in 3 years.
Yeah. That's also another thing.
I miss that.
It's like, what happened to these people who used to TV shows? They used to be 20 episodes a season and they'd come out each year and they were bangers.
Yeah.
And then back then, sequels used to come out every 2 years. And
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, and they were great. Like the Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, 2 years in between each of those movies, except for the last 2.
And it fit perfect.
It fit perfect. And the MCU, for an example, when it first launched, they were having a movie each year that corresponded to a greater theme, and they were doing great. And now in the early Marvel, none of those movies were perfect, except for Iron Man and the Avengers, but they still did a good job with it, a good job telling this story that they were building. It doesn't make sense how TV shows nowadays and movies alike are now saying, it's going to be 5 years before we can have a sequel. You want a season 2 to your favorite show? You're going to have to wait 3 years for 8 episodes. It doesn't make any sense.
To me, it's not worth it in most cases. In almost every case, time is valuable.
No.
You only have so much time on this earth.
Right.
I don't sit around for 6 years waiting for the Batman to come out. I don't have that time.
Imagine if they released Infinity War in 2018 and said that Endgame was going to come out in 2019 and then it didn't come out until 2024.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine how that would have felt.
That's right now. I would be like, I don't have any. I can't remember what happened. Exactly. I don't have much interest.
You don't have any much interest. And I think the same problem goes for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It ended in a cliffhanger.
It's already happened to fans.
Exactly.
Really.
Nobody cares about it anymore because everybody wanted Beyond the Spider-Verse to come out the next year to see what happened to finish that story.
Plan, wasn't it?
That was the plan. And then now you're saying this movie won't come out to 27 too. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and you got to think time is an enemy for Robert Pattinson's Batman
because he's getting older.
Exactly. You got to think when the first one came out, they're marketing it as a year 1, year 2 Batman, right? At the time, Pattinson is 34, 35 years old, but they play it off pretty well with makeup and costumes and stuff. When this next one comes out, Pattinson's gonna be about 40, 41 years old.
Yep.
And you're trying to tell me this is a year 3, year 4,
year 4 Batman. Exactly. You can't.
It doesn't
do
work.
That. It doesn't work. And it's if you all this stuff you're planning on doing, Matt Reeves, I think creatively you're doing a great job. You're really nailing this Batman universe, but instead of coming up with these stories, if you're writing Batman 2 right now, you better be writing Batman 3 with it. Because you got to do this at the same time.
Most of the time, it doesn't usually fall on directors. It's usually the execs, the studios' fault.
That's true.
But from what I hear, they don't even have a script yet. For this film.
No, but the thing about Matt Reeves,
How do you not have a script?
He's a writer, he's a director, and a producer of this.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is based off him. So, and that's why he's receiving a lot of blame.
And it's the other side of the coin, too. We waited a long time for the first Batman, and it was very, very good. Mm-hmm. And he's doing everything, like you said. He's writing it, he's producing it, he's directing it. So we know, it's not a question of whether it's going to be good or not. We know it's going to be. It's just a question
of when. When is it going to be good?
The time hurts.
It hurts a lot.
It hurts.
And it just hurts. It's again, that whole rant of used to this didn't happen, and now we've allowed it. And I think, COVID's no longer an excuse, but it feels like it is because COVID was the reason that all of these movies did this.
Yeah.
And they're back then, prior to 2020, if a movie said it was going to be released on this date, good or bad, it was going to be released on that day.
Yeah.
Now they have the excuse saying, oh, it's not ready. Let's just hold it back a year. Oh, it's not ready again. Let's hold it back another year.
When Morbius was pushed from April to October or something like that,
yeah.
It crushed my world. And then when I saw it, I wish I'd never seen it. I wish I'd seen it when it was supposed to come out, because then I wouldn't have to wait for a bad movie.
Yeah.
I like to think, that maybe they decided that they didn't want to deal with the Odyssey coming out in 2026.
True. But I mean, look at the roster of 2026 though. The roster of 2026 is nuts.
It's nasty.
It's nuts. I mean, because you got Avengers Doomsday, you've got the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's next movie, Shrek 5.
We gotta see that in IMAX.
Oh, 100%.
They're saying he's using brand new IMAX technology
that's never been used.
So, what else?
Yep. Shrek 5, Toy Story 5,
Toy Story 5,
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I know I'm forgetting some others that are like crazy releases. So it's gonna be a big year. So maybe that they didn't want to compete, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, compete because you could have.
Exactly. I mean, when you're Batman, you don't really compete. Everyone else kind of fits around your schedule.
Exactly. So you should have kept with it, stuck to your guns. But again, I don't know. And again, I go back over to James Gunn because James Gunn was defending Matt Reeves when he said, "Oh, well, sequels take time, this, that, or the other." But I'm like, also at the same time, look at James Gunn's slate. 2020. Let's see. We could go even further back, but 2021 he released the Suicide Squad. Brilliant.
That's crazy. 3 years ago.
2022, like just barely a year after, he was Peacemaker season 1.
Yeah.
All right, and it was great. Then he releases Guardians 3. And then now he's releasing Creature Commandos, all within the span of 3 years, and they're all been banger after banger after banger.
4 projects in 3 years
that are bangers.
Banger.
And I'm like, if you can't do that, I mean, take notes. Yeah. Because you should be able to. Mm-hmm. And if you're at this state, you know, so it stinks. It stinks. Sorry to go off on this 20-minute rant that we did.
No, tell them. It's an important topic, man.
It is, and it does stink. And then also, more news to come with that is the talks and reports that because of all of this hectics of making Robert Pattinson's Batman and pulling him and putting him in the DCU actually, and not making it House of Worlds instead, and bringing it into the DCU. I mean, there's pros and cons. Yeah, naturally. I mean,
I see it both ways.
Originally, when I was originally talking about the new DCU, James Gunn took over. I was like, absolutely, I want him in there I want that Batman in the DCU. And then the con of it is having Batman in his own world that's realistic and down to earth and tone is amazing and it's so appealing. But at the same time, like it would benefit from being in the whole entire picture. I don't know.
Exactly. And it might benefit Warner Brothers too. That way you have less confused fans, you know.
Right. Your casuals aren't going to understand two Batmans at the same time.
Yeah.
Like think about your older casual fans that love the character of Batman DC and it's like, oh, the Brave and the Bold, that's the next Batman? Is that the third one? It's like, no, it's the new one. Well, that's this one. Are they finished with that one? No, that's going on too. What? Yeah. It doesn't even make sense.
No, 100%. I think that worked really well too. Plus, Pattinson's age by the time the Brave and the Bold comes out,
he could have a Damian Wayne son.
Exactly. You know, but then that would kind of undermine the whole year 2 Batman because he'll look the exact same. So that's the one thing I'm not too sure about. We've only just seen the Superman trailer, but like just seeing Metropolis versus Matt Reeves, Gotham is just like night and day difference and everything. So I do wonder how they're gonna do that if they do decide to use Pattinson in the DCU. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I hope Matt Reeves just sticks with Batman and that Batman universe, you know. And I hope James Gunn kind of sees that, and if he decides to pull him in and be like, oh, hey, you specialize in Supergirl. You give Supergirl your print in her trilogy. Right. Or you give this character, and you know, instead of kind of tossing directors around, you know, you see how messy that can get, like with Thor and stuff like that. But, you know, hey, Matt Reeves, this is your guy. This is your guy. Right. And then when you have a pair up, work together. But I would love to see those different, kind of feeling like they're in different universes, but they're not.
They're not at the same time. Yeah, you know? I agree. And I think that could work. That could absolutely work. Matt Reeves should keep Batman, but when we need to pull him over for Justice League, you know, it's ours, you know, but we can still keep that same elements. I mean, it could work. It's just because
that way he has a Reeves imprint all over him. Exactly. And it's not another director stepping in like, I want this.
Similar to the MCU in the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? James Gunn did all the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's
and look how consistent that trilogy is with its tone and themes.
Absolutely. And then when they're brought into the Avengers and other projects and Thor and all this stuff, they're still James Gunn's characters, you know?
And we didn't see that with the Thor trilogy, you know, with the Iron Man trilogy, even the Cap trilogy to some extent. But yeah.
Right. I think that's great. So hopefully DC will get into that. I mean, DC's doing great. It's just a matter of fitting in all those loose ends. They got to clean up the loose ends. And once they do that, they'll be beyond successful. I truly believe that. So let's move on over to Marvel, and let's talk a little bit of Marvel. So Sony Marvel is officially over.
Are we holding their funeral service? Should we do something?
I feel like we should.
Are we dancing on their grave?
I feel like we should. All right, so let's do a little performance here. So Sony.
Are we wearing suit and ties?
Suit and ties. Okay. I agree.
Okay.
So we'll do it right now. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the funeral for Sony Marvel. So Sony, listen. You had Venom, and then you had Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and then you had Morbius, and then you had Madam Web, and then you had Venom: The Last Dance, and then you had Kraven the Hunter, and now you're officially dead. And none of your movies equaled up together are above 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. And all of your monies of make, if you add those together, none of them equal $1 billion. Take note, Sony. And you did. And you pulled the plug. And you killed yourself because of your worst movies in existence to Marvel, aside from the first one, the first Venom, which it holds a special place in my heart. The rest of them, though, were terrible. And I do not pity you. I do not want you to re-alive yourself. I want you to stay in the grave and die peacefully after making us watch this torture. Thank you.
Everyone leaves to sad music.
To sad, somber music.
You know, like at the funeral when they're like, he was a really good guy, but he was not a good guy at all. And he's the worst person you've ever met. I feel like this is kind of the same case.
This is that funeral, yeah.
Like there's no pretending that
this
was a good thing at all. And it's funny to see how delusional.
They're so delusional.
Like Sony CEO, bro. Like he said something the other day. Like I truly believe that Kraven was amazing, and people, just didn't really give it a chance.
They didn't connect with the character.
He blames, streaming services, and he blames the fans. They do everything but take accountability. He said the same thing with Madam Web. Like, you see, the movie's actually really good. It was a bad time for Kraven when, like, a week before the movie, they released, like, the first 8 minutes of the movie. Anytime you see a movie releasing, like, the first, 8-10 minutes, you're like, it's bad. It's just a ploy to get people in the doors.
Yep.
But, the whole thing sucked. And to be honest, it's mostly to the writers. Like, okay, if you want to take classic villains and make them, anti-heroes, okay, that's weird. You're going to send them around Spider-Man, but you're never going to bring in Spider-Man. That's weird. But on top of that, you're going to give us the worst directors and writers of all time. It was just bad decision after bad decision. And after the first couple movies, the writing was on the wall way before, the greatest movie of all time came out.
Well, the thing is the first Venom should have been a one-off and done, right? First Venom, good. Fun movie.
Yeah.
It didn't deserve a trilogy.
No. And maybe a second with Carnage and leave it at that. Maybe,
but not really. Then you had Madam Web, which is probably the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen. I would say probably. not much to compare it to. Just really bad. And then you have and bring in Morbius, which was also really terrible. And then you bring in Kraven, which was I haven't even seen yet because I don't even know if it's worth my time.
They say it's better than Madam Web. If that means
that's not a lot, because I look at Madam Web as like -3.
Yeah.
And if Madam Web's -3, then this must be 0.
Most people actually put like Kraven and Morbius kind of in the same sphere.
So, okay. So out of all the movies that you have there, so Venom's still the only one that's good.
Yeah.
If Venom and Kraven and Morbius are in the same boat, then that's pretty bad.
And it blows my mind because like for some of these projects, they got like some amazing people.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Jared Leto, freaking Hardy,
Tom Hardy,
Woody Harrelson. Like they had good pieces.
People.
Michael Keaton, Sweeney, Michael Keaton. Oh my gosh,
dude.
They like. How do you fumble the bag?
How do you fumble the bag? But again, with the eulogy, I guess we got to bring some positivity. Thank you, Sony Marvel, for giving us these amazing pieces of dialogue of "You wouldn't want to see me when I'm hungry," or something along the lines of, I think this has to do with Spider-Man somehow. I think we should create a team.
Yeah. Or the one Matt Smith dancing scene when he's getting.
Yes. And they got Matt Smith too.
Yeah, we missed out on that part. Matt Smith, legendary Doctor Who, House of the Dragon. They pull in legends and then they insult their legacy. Like,
oh my gosh,
they do not want to be remembered for this.
These movies are so bad.
Yeah, bro.
Madam Web, the dialogue that don't even match
their mouth. bro. Like, do these people try to make movies, or they got a 7-year-old in the editing room? Like, oh, this might be cool. Dude, there's a natural delay on it. No, it's just,
dude.
Thank you for coming to the funeral, man.
Thank you for attending. We
had high hopes for this, and they turned out to be trash.
They did. Bless it.
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful.
Really
Disgraceful. But at least we'll never have to feast our eyes on another Sony Marvel movie again. Now we can just focus on.
And we won't have to really talk about it that much, unless we're doing.
Which I still don't understand how a studio can make simultaneously 2 of the best superhero movies ever in animation, and then go and make 5 of the worst ever in live action. It doesn't make any sense. But the departments, I guess, are just really opposite.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't understand what the fan wants.
No,
but James Gunn does. So hey,
James Gunn does. I'm just glad we're not getting that Bad Bunny El Turismo movie or whatever it was going to be called with the wrestler and all that. I'm just glad that's not happening anymore, because I was not going to watch that movie. I wasn't going to review that movie. I'm going to be honest. Like I don't even want to see that. So
yeah, man.
Thankfully, it's no longer happening.
I know.
We hope. Unless they get
I didn't even watch Craven, but
I'll watch it.
Let's watch it together sometime.
We'll watch it, but it's not going to be good. Yeah. But we'll have a good time. Maybe we'll watch it as a parody. Just keep in mind it's a parody.
Right, it's a parody.
And they got Russell Crowe.
SNL made this. You don't understand.
SNL. That's how I watched Madam Web, and honestly, I had a decent time because of the fact, like, I watched it in the mindset of this is a parody. This is not a legitimate movie, and I was laughing the entire time because I watched it as a comedy, and it was great in that aspect. But then you look at it, and after you finish watching it, and you laugh, and you're like, that was great. I had a great time. And then you look at it yourself, and you're like, that was actually what they intended. And you're like, oh, that was bad.
This was not good.
Yes. Anyway, it is dead. So let's move on to the MCU. So some of the big takeaways of the recents of MCU is Chris Evans has reportedly joined the cast in a mystery role for Avengers Doomsday.
I mean, we saw this coming.
We did. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr. is back as Dr. Doom. Make Chris Evans Magneto. No, I'm just kidding. Don't. I don't know. He's probably going to be Human Torch or Captain America variant. Honestly, like, everybody's coming back for Doomsday and Secret Wars.
And the thing, because everyone's coming back, it's not going to feel the same.
No.
Like, I like Captain America, and I liked him a lot when I was a kid. But hearing this news doesn't get me excited.
No. It's just, and it would have if they did it right.
Yeah.
Or, like, saved it for the movie, like you should.
Yeah. If 2 years after Endgame, they're like, oh, by the way, we're doing a limited 6 episode thing about him returning stones.
They should have done that.
Back when he was, like, still in shape for Captain America. They should have done that. I'd be like, oh, that's a cool idea.
That'd been fire.
It wouldn't feel as much of a cash grab. But, bro, let's pull that one extra from Spider-Man 2 from the pizza place. That would be a cameo.
That would be cool.
The guy who owns the pizza place.
That would be cool.
Get him.
It's like the what if storylines. It's like,
what if?
Listen, what if we chose the least interesting Marvel characters and gave him a story? And this story has nothing to do with anything.
Sucked.
I think that'll work.
Would people want to watch that? Heck yeah.
Instead of giving us questions we actually asked, let's create new characters that nobody asked for and make them the multiversal destroyers or rescuers at the same time.
See, no one asked those what if questions because they're not even in your mind.
I don't even know what was in my mind. They come up with a show called Marvel Studios What If? And then it shows about these characters that we've never even heard of before, about people who Darcy Lewis and Howard the Duck having an egg baby. Like, what if Darcy had a baby with Howard the Duck?
She hatched an egg. Is that okay? Because I have not watched that.
Yeah. So, like,
my question, is she a human?
Mm-hmm. So, like, my question is, though, like, who in the writing room suggested that? It's like, listen,
they gotta arrest that man.
I've got a crazy
idea. Gotta arrest that person.
What if in season 3, what if we had Darcy from the Thor movies and Howard the Duck have an egg baby that is the most powerful being in the multiverse, and every single multiversal being wants that egg baby to be their baby? What if we did that instead of what if the other side blipped? I think it's genius. Sign it on paper.
Give that man $6 million.
5 on IMDb.
5 on IMDb is being very generous.
And that wasn't even the worst episode. That wasn't even the worst episode of the season.
What if Spider-Man shot not freaking webs from his nose, but only when he sneezed. What the? That's such a good. Give this man a better job.
Give that man an Emmy.
He deserves a promotion. He's just like sneezing. Dude, like he dies because he doesn't have to sneeze when he's in midair.
Dude, okay. Like what? What are you even talking about, man?
Bad ideas.
What
I just
were you
don't.
thinking?
If I were them, I would have like opened a Discord or something, or like a Twitter, and I would have just put out for the fans, and I would have like the most liked comment. You can't be like the most liked comment because they'd like something stupid,
but something like
I would have looked through comments
interesting
and see what they would have voted on. Like with Marvel Rivals, man, like in their official Discord, they'll put out characters and be like, vote on which character y'all would like, and we'll consider it. And they put some cool options. You're like, okay, we see the feedback.
Yeah,
I feel like What If needed like the MCU fan feedback maybe more than any other project, like legitimately, because the whole thing is what if, and the whole what if are what the fans are asking.
Exactly,
and they didn't do what the fans wanted.
Instead, you're doing like what if storylines that nobody asked for in their million years.
That's a one project that you have listened for.
Making Peggy Carter the main protagonist of your entire series. I'm like,
listen, bro, I like her. I mean, when she was my crush growing up, right? I mean, we all love Haley Atwell. Why are they? What's the obsession with her?
Like, instead we're doing stories like, what if Korg and Meek teamed up with the Eternals to fight the everlasting flames of Surtur? And I'm like, who asked for that? Nobody. Nobody wants that.
It was like the Black Panther and Thanos one. Not Black Panther.
Oh, like when
they
made Black Panther T'Challa.
Yeah.
Or no, wait, no. He is T'Challa. Yeah. When they made Star-Lord.
T'Challa, Star-Lord.
That wasn't a question we asked.
That wasn't a question. See, that's when they were pushing it, but that's when they pushed it and it was good.
It was good.
Here I feel like they went on like Wattpad and they started doing
I feel like we're dipping our toes into a future podcast episode that we gotta wait for. We gotta wait for it. Bro. If you want more, listen to our podcast coming soon about What If, and you'll be able to hear a little bit more about that. So let's continue with our news cycle that we have for that. Is that the Young Avengers reported movie has now been moved over to a Disney Plus show now entitled Champions.
I don't want this, man.
I mean, I like the concept of the Young Avengers. I think it's cool. But I'm like, I think it could have served as a movie, but making a Disney Plus show titled Champions.
You gotta think, bro. The Young Avengers have no hard hitters. No. The biggest one you have is Haley Steinfeld. In my opinion, she's not going to be one associated with this for too long. Hey, that's my knowledge from the future. I'm seeing that she doesn't want to be with Marvel. Mm-hmm. There are no like super likable Young Avenger characters, like truly.
Haley Steinfeld's the only one.
None of them have like left an imprint on it.
But
you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I don't want it.
No.
And I don't think it's going to do well, if I'm being honest. It's going to be cheesy. I'm glad, I respect that they didn't keep it a movie. I do appreciate that. But when you introduce all these smaller characters via shows, like, let's give them a movie. No wonder they push it to a show.
I know. It's just, they're really, I don't understand, like, the fall off of the MCU needs to be studied.
It needs to be taught.
It needs to be taught in film school.
Like, how the MCU started, yes, teach that on how to do something right. And how to make it bad.
And then look at how they made it bad. But then again, if you look at the statistics, though, like there's a lot of Marvel projects that are really good that they've done post Endgame. But at the same time, there's a lot,
but they
that
get
weighed really
down
bad.
by this, the more stinkers.
The way the fact that there's no interconnected story anymore also weighs on it a lot.
And the whole Jonathan Majors thing, like, really
blew it.
That was like the last straw. That blew everything out of the water.
And I'm seeing a lot of people, and I'm honestly like, I wasn't agreeing with them at first, but now I kind of am of completely rebooting it after Doomsday and Secret Wars. I'm not against it anymore.
With it.
Reboot it with the X-Men. Honestly. I don't know.
They could low-key do a soft reboot with Fantastic Four.
They could.
Like, kind of discontinue it from everything else.
And continue it from there and just kind of erase start over.
I think it'd be cool. I think we deserve to see these stories with different directors and different ideas played out.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. Also, when it comes to Marvel news, is Blade is apparently not moving forward any longer, along with what was it? Don Cheadle's movie. What was it going to be called?
Armor
Wars.
Armor
Wars is apparently not moving forward. But I did see some reports that Blade might be moving forward, but making it more of a multiversal plot. And I'm just like, dude, okay, listen.
I'm tired of talking about this every 2 months.
I was not.
I really am.
I was never a multiversal hater. Like, I enjoyed the idea. I like the idea.
I'm a hater. I'll wear that proudly.
I know you are, and you have been for a while. But I wasn't a hater of it, and I actually enjoyed the concept of the multiverse. But I'm no longer for it. Like, it is overplayed. It weighs everything down. It makes everything.
No stakes.
There's no stakes
That's the biggest
anymore.
thing. You don't care if someone dies.
I know characters can pop up from anywhere. Like, it was a cool concept. Like, I think there's only a handful of movies that did it justice and right. Like No Way Home, they did it good. WandaVision wasn't really multiversal, but they did a good job.
Yeah.
And that may be it. Like, honestly,
I remember before Civil War came out, and I remember the hype and all the fear going into the movie because there were so many reports and articles saying this is Cap's gonna die. This is the end of his trilogy. They're saying, this guy's gonna die. Iron Man might die. There were so many theories, and everyone was so worried.
Everybody was legit
because
worried.
there was no multiverse at that time.
It was genuine.
It did so well, in fact, because people wanted to see what happens to my favorite character.
I genuinely thought Captain America was gonna die.
I did too.
I thought he was gonna die.
He was my favorite, and I'm like, holy crap! I need to go see what happens.
I think about Infinity War. They're like, who's gonna die? Who's gonna survive?
Exactly.
The stakes were there.
And
now there's no stakes.
And when they're dead, they're dead.
Yep.
And I appreciate that. And it's not the same anymore.
It's not. It is unfortunate. Multiverse is dead. I feel like the only DC did the multiverse well. Like, they're the only ones that do the multiverse well when they do it. Because like in the movies and the animated movies and stuff, or like even the flipping Flash CW show, the first couple seasons did the multiverse better than any other thing.
It did it well.
It did it really well because it wasn't like stakes. It was like this world was distinctly different from this world. And, it made sense. But here in Marvel, the way it's doing it, it's like, oh, this, that, the other. It doesn't make sense.
It's a weak and lame writing excuse to get to where they want without putting in effort.
Exactly. I feel like across the Spider-Verses did it well.
Yeah.
Well, Deadpool and Wolverine did it pretty well. They didn't do it bad. No Way Home did it well. That's about it. No, nothing else has.
Yeah. We just seen too much. Time to go back.
Yep. It's time to go back. It is, absolutely. All right. Also reports is Denzel Washington is going to be apparently in the MCU in Black Panther 3, which I could see. Denzel Washington is fantastic. We know.
Yeah.
And
one of the greatest ever.
Absolutely. And it'd be cool to see him in Black Panther 3. I don't know. He could be a villain. Maybe I could see him as a villain after seeing Gladiator 2. Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't get the feeling that he would want to stick around long term.
No.
To kind of fit with that Marvel killing their villains in one movie. I could see that. Is Coogler coming back for
who?
The third guy? Ryan Coogler?
He is.
Good.
He is. Good. Yeah.
He's one of the best parts about Marvel right now.
One of the only good parts, unfortunately. It's brutal.
Shout out Ryan Coogler.
All right, but that concludes the big stuff. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about, and you may hear more about it in the future in a What If podcast, but that's just, it's brutal right now for Marvel, but DC, our hopes are high. So continue.
Come on, take us to the promised land.
Oh, I also forgot the Star Wars news. Andor Season 2 has the biggest budget ever for Star Wars. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, yes. I saw it was close to like $300 million. Okay.
Whoa! Quit giving TV shows movie-sized budgets.
I'm pretty sure Andor Season 2 is spending more money than Oppenheimer. I think.
Really?
I think so. Give me a quick. You just give me a second.
How are they going to make money?
My question is, where does the money come from? From what I understand, these streaming services don't profit a ton from these projects. Like, the only money they make is like through the ads of showing like their stuff, right? And then it's through the new subscribers. How many new subscribers are you going to get for some of these projects? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, Andor Season 1 was brilliant, but quit giving TV shows movie-sized budgets. That's the downfall, because like I think of Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad did not have a budget.
No, bro, this show almost went out so many times. They didn't even know if they were going to have a show, so they would write episode by episode because they didn't know if they were going to.
Yeah. Okay. And then it was phenomenal, and they didn't have a budget. You don't need millions of dollars to make a great show.
I'm going to hit you with something crazy.
Hit me with it.
You could make almost 3 Oppenheimers for Andor Season 2.
Really?
Oppenheimer's budget was 100.
Really?
And Andor Season 2 is coming in at $291 million.
Well, Andor Season 2 better rock my eyes then. They better rock my eyeballs.
And you got to think about this too, right? So Andor, we can say it's a very, very, very good show. And during season 1, they did not use a lot of green screens, right?
True.
A lot of times they shot on
practical
location,
and on location,
in
which
the
was
mountains
fantastic.
and the grass.
Worth it.
It's beautiful. We also recognize that's a lot cheaper than putting in a lot of CGI.
Very true.
So I'm struggling to understand where this money, like, where does $291 million? I'm pretty sure the most expensive movie of all time is one of those Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And that's like 350 something, 360. That's not too far off.
That's nuts. This movie,
almost every movie you can think of would not, be more than that. Andor, and what do you think? And Andor,
it's gonna be 12 episodes.
And in my opinion, would use less money than something that would be more heavily CGI
I would
focused.
think like maybe 80 million, if that.
Yeah.
For a show. But like honestly though, most TV shows should have a budget of 30 million max, in my opinion.
You gotta think, bro. If I'm Disney, man, if I'm Star Wars, if I'm gonna put like all my eggs in one basket, obviously they have a lot more money. They're worth billions and billions. But you think of all the shows they've made, you could argue that, Andor is probably the least well known, of the Obi-Wan show, the Ahsoka show, their season of Clone Wars, what else have they made? That's all that's coming to my mind right now. I don't see why they would put all of their money into Andor. Like, why wasn't this diverted to Ahsoka? Why wasn't this diverted to Obi-Wan? Something that you knew that the fans already connect with. And that's no shot at Andor. Like, I think that was the best out of all of them. I loved Andor, but $291 million.
That's a lot of money
for 12 episodes.
That's so much money.
Like I said, Oppenheimer was 100. A 3.5 hour film about a nuclear bomb. Okay, it's just
like that's crazy. I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know Star Wars. What we're doing. I don't know what a lot of these studios execs are doing. Honestly, like we should just start our own studio with like our $10 we have in our pocket and just see where we can run with it.
Just us on our iPhones running around,
and we create cinema,
straight cinema. You never know. At least the writing would be good. The writing would be good. The visuals, not so much.
But we'll get. That's the next step.
Yeah, that's
it's to start with the writing.
Make some more money, then we'll get a better camera.
Oh, facts.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode. And as always, if you guys liked it, please let us know by giving us a download and a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. We have a feature on the episodes where you can just send us a text message by following the link at the bottom of our episodes. So feel free to submit your questions for Heroes Q&A there, or just shoot us a DM on Instagram. Be sure to also check out our Instagram so you can ask us questions for our Q&A segments. If you guys want exclusive access to episodes, which includes movie reviews, subscribe to our membership, Heroes HQ. Then finally, feel free to also check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram at Heroes in the Moment.
And as always, we love you 2000.